What is up, A-Team? Welcome back. Awesome here. Hope everyone's having an awesome day. So here we are to talk about the Terra Builders Alliance, which is the rebirth of the Terra network. And I think this is what everyone's sort of been coming out and talking about. And this is the voting that's going on to see if we actually are going to go into the forking, which we're going to create the Terra Classic and then create the Terra. This is what everyone's been talking about. This is the hottest topic out in cryptocurrency right now, I think, is really where is this voting going to go? And as you can see, as of right now, we're sitting at 87% yes. We're at 10.52% no with a veto, and then 3.37% with a no. And I gotta say, this is pretty revealing here. Unfortunately, there was some controversy behind this, saying that there was already 11 million votes already in here before this even went live. So we don't really know where those votes came from. Maybe they came from Do Kwon. You know, again, he's really trying to push this, and there's a story behind this. There's a story behind, I think, why he's trying to push this. A lot of information came out today. Again, whether that information is true or not, it's all speculative at this point, but the information's starting to build up and it's not looking too good. Again, I put out a video yesterday sort of in support of Do Kwon with everything that he's got going on. Obviously, you want the person that has created all this to keep leading the project forward, but it just sounds like there's a lot of things that are building up that, it just doesn't sound very good. And, if anyone's holding this or anyone that was in this before the collapse, my heart goes out to you guys because I just couldn't believe. I just couldn't imagine what you guys are going through with all the stuff that's coming out. It's probably just gut-wrenching. The crazy thing is the whole entire community out there has already came back and said that they do not want to go into a fork. The votes went out there. I mean, you go in here and we saw yesterday, no one wants us to go into a fork. However, the validators are the ones here that can make that decision. And as you can see right here, there's 109 validators that did not vote. You had 32 of them said yes. You have, and then you have basically 3 validators saying no, which hold very little percentages if you think about it from the overall. 2% was the highest one here. However, Orion Money is the number one person here at an 8.62, and they haven't voted yet as to whether they want to move forward with this fork or not. And maybe they won't. Maybe they're going to wait for it to get close to the quorum here because it has to meet this to be able to move forward. And so maybe they're going to wait for it to get closer to there before they make their decisions. But this is a hot topic here. You got a lot of the community that say, hey, we can save the project as it is right now and not have to fork by just instituting some burning. And like I said, I just was talking about the burning in a previous video. There are proposals out there with remedies to burn this, create a fee. Another stablecoin just did it recently, a couple days ago. They basically instituted a higher burning tax to ensure that the algorithmic stablecoin, stays, pegged to $1 versus, falling into the death spiral like we see. And so there's a lot of proposals out there already saying that we could save this. They've already proposed it, and a lot of people are on board with those. But for some reason, Do Kwon and a lot of the validators that are out there are stuck on this fork, and that opens up the door. And so someone who's so stuck on this fork, when a lot of people don't want this, for the most part, community-wise, doesn't want this, it starts to raise the question as to why is Do Kwon pushing so heavily on this fork. And like I said, you start going through some of the information that came out here, and the first one that came out that really raises a flag for me is that Terraform Labs owes $78.5 million in taxes to South Korea government. And I mean, that is a ton of taxes that they owe to the government here. This report came out today. Again, it is media. Is this 100% true? We really don't know. It's just information that's out there. We do know that Watcher Guru is a pretty reasonable, they don't really FUD a whole lot. They just put out the facts. They really just put out articles and let people assume or decide what they want. But really, this is what it comes down to. Terraform Labs is liable to pay the South Korean government 100 billion won or 78.5 million for tax evasion. I mean, we're talking about tax evasion. I mean, this is pretty crazy. You're getting in trouble for failing to pay your corporate taxes. And the big thing that came out here after this is that now the information is coming out that, hey, he owes a significant amount of money. Terraform Labs owes $78 million to the South Korean government. But what's crazy about that is before this whole crash happened, before everything happened and everything went to its demise, you can see right here that Kwon filed to dissolve the company in the Korean entity on April 30th of 2022. It says the filing was done in the Supreme Court of Southern Korea's registry. Kwon was approved on May 4th to dissolve the entity. And again, this was right before the UST and Luna crash. So I know that he was leaving South Korea. They obviously have they're over in Singapore. That's sort of where they're licensed out of now, or it's a temporary exemption from in Singapore. It's just very unfortunate that all this happened. It starts to raise flags as to, was this premeditated? Was there involvement with Do Kwon for the collapse here? We don't know. After leaving Korea, obviously they went over to Singapore. They're trying to be incorporated in Singapore, and it says the firm has been granted a temporary exemption from the holding a license by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. However, that's where they're trying to go because they're trying to avoid taxes in South Korea because, again, taxes are very high. So it just starts to raise the flag as to, okay, so why is he dissolving the company? Obviously because he owes a significant amount of tax, which we see right here. He owes $78.5 million in taxes. This is right before the collapse of everything. And the scariest thing about this is now South Korea is bringing back their Grim Reaper to investigate the Terra's fall. So now you got these people looking into it to see really what happened out there. And I mean, this is nerve-wracking. If I was Do Kwon, I'd be nervous, to even be considered them chasing me from, a special crimes standpoint. And so that goes back into my big thing here. So now that this is all laid out there, it goes back into the discussion as to why would he push the fork so much. And I think the reason why is because the collapse of Terra and Luna caused it to where now he doesn't have the funds to be able to support the $78.5 million that he owes South Korea. And so by being able to push open a new fork, a new token, and be able to then have open liquidity, which we saw in here, they will be granted some open liquidity to it, he will then be able to sell those tokens on the open market and be able to get some form of income to then start paying the taxes. That's one conspiracy of it. And it makes sense. If you think about it, they're going to be launching a whole new blockchain, a whole new token. They're going to be able to put over the money that's locked away in Luna, in Terra Luna right now, move it over to a new token to start that whole process. And then they'll have access to those funds to then be able to do what they need to do with it, take care of their debts to South Korea. After thinking about that makes sense to me. It's starting to come together in my own head here as to, I think that could be a reason behind him doing it. Because as we know, the community does not want this. The community thinks that this can be saved. I still believe it can be saved. The fork doesn't sound like it's going to be that great of a deal in the first place. And so there has to be reasons behind Do Kwon pushing this so hard. And again, that's just what I've created. Collecting all the information out there, listening to a lot of people talk about this. That's what I'm starting to see here. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And so I'm really just trying to connect the dots here and figure out exactly why this fork's being pushed so hard. And so when you start to really add all this up together, it just doesn't look very good for Do Kwon, unfortunately. There's just too many things out there, right in front of us today that makes it just seem like this is not a good move. It sort of puts a pit in your stomach, and I feel really bad for everyone involved that has lost a lot of money because this isn't looking too good. And the whole goal here, though, is to try to save the Luna Classic or whatever they want to call it. I think that's the biggest focus is what do we need to do to save the current project that's out there. And I hope that we, as people that are covering this and talking about that, continue to focus on the Luna Classic or the current Luna that we're dealing with, the Terra, and try to really resolve, bringing that back to where it needs to be. I think that really should be the focus here. It just feels like they're trying to push this off and put our focus on a whole nother deal instead of focusing on the problem and fixing the problem, which we see in front of us right now. And like I said, you go back to the Terra station here and you could see all the proposals here. And there's a lot of proposals. I mean, the burn and remedy fee with Luna, if you go through and you read this burn and remedy, which I should probably do a video on because there's a lot of detail in here, and it only has 3 days before it doesn't, if it doesn't pass, it's going to fall off. But this is actually a really good proposal because we already know that this burn and the remedy that they have in store here works because other algorithmic stablecoins are already doing this burn. And so it's like, why would you not even consider this? And you're so hell-bent on doing the fork. So let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Do you think that Kwon is really behind this? Do you think that that's why he's pushing it? What's your theory behind him pushing this fork so hard? With all that said, I hope everyone has an amazing day. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put it down in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And with all that said, we're out. Peace.